Alright, it's down. Here we go. This is a consumer unit from a business that I got scrapped from for years, up until the point I stopped in 2016, and so the first scrap I had when I restarted again came from this place, and now it's shut, and I'm very sad. You see before, I've got lots of fire extinguishers. They came from this business. Here I've just taken a little cover off and just checked that we do have nice copper underneath the cover. Okay, I'm looking for how the electrics come out of the iron box. I can see that the electrics are on a separate piece of iron, but I can't quite find how it comes out. I look at the back, and eventually I find there's one small screw at the top holding it all in. So I've located the screw and I'm undoing it, and then very shortly I'll be able to take the fuses out of the box. And I discard the box, but I do notice later on that there's a big brass nut on there, which I come back for. The switching unit is held onto the fuses by 3 strips of brass, which are coupled onto the copper plates with quite heavy gauge nuts, bolts and washers. Now the easiest way to take them off is to clamp a set of vice grips or mole grips onto the nut, and then as I turn the bolt, the mole grips are going to press against the body of the fuses, and it's all going to come undone. It saves me using 2 hands to hold 2 spanners. Okay, one more nut and bolt to go and the switching unit will be free. You'll notice that I'm putting these nuts, bolts and washers back together because they're worth keeping in case I ever need them for something else. There we go. Okay, there's some sort of press fit washers. They're not really washers. They're kind of they're fastened in some sort, but they're pressed on. There's no way to undo them. I'm pinging them off with a flat-ended screwdriver. And the eagle-eyed of you will see my head dip back shortly, because I take one in the face, and then I think, yep, probably time for some goggles. There we go. I just got it in the face. So then the goggles come out in a second. There we go. A little bit of Sammy Love just to get the fuses off of the iron holding. Okay, so now it's time to start taking the breakers off of those lovely copper plates. For the most part, I can get enough screwdriver on them to undo them. Some are a bit tighter and I need to get a bigger screwdriver in there, but I can't get it to fit, so I get the brick hammer, the sharp end, give it a little bit of Sammy Love to make to get some access to the screw, although it does make quite a mess and I end up with plastic everywhere. So I've got almost everything off of the copper. There's one little connection that goes through the plastic block that's left on there, which is holding it on. So I'm going to adjust up some mole grips. I'm trying to bend the copper itself there and pull it out. But no, there's a connection that needs to come off. I've got the mole grips, adjust them up, rip that out, and then we've got clean copper. Okay, the switching unit, we've got brass connections there, we've got brass blocks inside. They're not other goodies are in there yet. So I'm going to drill it out. There are aluminium rivets going straight through, so I need to drill the ends off of those to take it apart. Okay, so now we can get a look what's inside. We've got the aluminium rivets, obviously. There's the brass block that holds a wire. There's a copper plate with a switching part on it, and there's the long brass strips that we saw from the outside. Now these come apart really easy now. It's just a matter of pulling everything out by hand, putting the plastic for recycling, and it's done. It's a similar story with the breaker units. I'm going to drill out the aluminium rivets with a smaller drill, obviously, and then see what's inside. So in these units we've got some copper windings, a little piece of copper wire, and some copper plates that are either tinned or covered in silver, I'm not sure which. We've also got some iron plates which are covered in copper, and they look like they're going to be, you know, worth having, but they're just iron covered copper. this is a fiddly job. I'm snipping off the copper wire there. I'm not always in the line of the camera because there's a little piece of copper plate there. And yeah, this is fiddly, so we're going in high speed. I don't recall if I think that's a copper plate as well. But I do one of these, and the rest of them are still sitting in the jar because they're fiddly. So I'm almost done scrapping this unit out, and then I can show you the little bits that come out of it when we were done. It's hard to see this, you can just see a lot of glove for the most part. But here's what comes out of it. There's the copper windings, the copper silver coloured plates, some copper wire. These are the iron covered, copper covered iron. I wish they were all copper. So here is what comes out of the whole unit. We've got a jar full of breaker bits. That's the parts from the breaker I took apart already. Those are from breakers. I've got a little bit of dry bright that was in there, and these brass blocks. I took these out before the video started, unfortunately. And the brass connection pieces, these copper plates, and we'll go up in a second to see the main copper plates. Now you might have noticed that on some of the brass and some of the copper we've got silver contacts, so here I am drilling those out, and there's the final. We've got all the copper and brass pieces left over, and we've got the silver contacts, so hopefully one day I'll have enough to do the extraction thing. Thanks for watching.